Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Balabha Girivara Dadi. Gopijana Balabha Girivara Dadi. Jasodanandana Brajajanadandana Jasodanandana Brajajanadandana Jamuna Tira Vanachadi Jamuna Tira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari. Jasodanandana Brajajanadandana Jasodanandana Brajajanadandana Yamunatira Vanachadi Yamunatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parividikacharya Astatarasatasi Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Gaur Premanandi. You're going somewhere. Where are you going? White thing is white sun. Oh, they were kicked out, huh? Uh-oh. What?
He has a Bhagavad Gita. He's learning slokas, Bhagavad Gita slokas. He's classes from 6:30 to 7. 6:30 to 7.
So he's got to go now.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to get the attention of our host here, but you look distracted. Are you okay? Have you been keeping up with our morning and evening classes, or evening classes at least? Have you been hearing and participating in the evening classes? Okay. Not all. Some. Okay, a few. You're honest. It's good. So we've been discussing in the evening chapter 8 from Canto 10. Chapter 8 of Canto 10 has to do with Krishna's childhood pastimes in Braja. His childhood pastimes in Braja. You with me? No. Childhood pastimes. So, Krishna was born in Mathura, but the very night he was born, he requested his father Vasudeva to carry him to the other side of the river Jamuna and place him in the care of Nanda and Yashoda. So there he grew up in Gokula or Vrindavan. So what we heard in chapter 8, well, chapter 7 includes killing of Putana, Shakatasura, the cart demon. In chapter 8 is the name-giving ceremony, which took place within the first 45 days of Krishna's birth. And then after the name-giving ceremony, Nanda goes back to Braja, and they have a big festival with the Brahmins and celebrating Krishna's appearance. No, Krishna's name-giving. So people come to know what Gargamuni said about his name and his character and qualities and so forth. But he's just a little baby, 45 days old. So there's his childhood pastimes, his crawling, his learning to talk, his playfulness, always by his side is Balaram, pulling on the tail of the calves, and the calves get startled and they run across the field, and Krishna's holding on, going for a ride. And the ladies, they're laughing, and some are worried, and some are... So he's doing his childhood pastimes. They're attached to him, and he's attached to them. It's not just one way. It's his pastimes, that, for his pleasure, that he's enjoying, and they're enjoying his activity. Very quickly he learns to walk. Still little infant, little boy. After crawling, then he's walking. Then he's going here and there and doing mischievous things. So it speaks specifically of it's Vatsalya, or parental affection. Vatsalya rasa is the emphasis. So the cowherd men, just seeing Krishna passing with Balaram, they're so happy because he's the center of their life. Although they have their own children, Krishna's the best. Then he starts his naughty pastimes with the calves, with milk and dairy products and stealing and all that stuff. So that's yesterday was preceding the elder gopis who are the friends of Yashoda. They come to her to tell him of his activities. They come in a joking yet so-called complaining but happy mood. So now we're going to hear about those activities. That's this verse this morning, this evening. 10:8:29. 10:8:29. Our dear friend Yashoda, your son sometimes comes to our houses before the milking of the cows and releases the calves. And when the master of the house, that's their husband, becomes angry, your son really smiles. Sometimes he devises some process by which he steals palatable curd, butter, and milk, which he then eats and drinks. When the monkeys assemble, he divides it with them. And when the monkeys have their bellies so full they won't take any more, he breaks the pots. Sometimes if he gets no opportunity to steal butter or milk from a house, he'll be angry at the householders, and for his revenge, he'll agitate the small children by pinching them. Then, when the children begin crying, Kṛṣṇa will go away. Naughty Kṛṣṇa. So this verse is going to be repeated several times. So just hearing it again and hearing it again and hearing it again is nice. Get ready to hear it several times. So the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust purport, this is Prabhupada's purport. The narration of Krishna's naughty childhood activities would be presented to Mother Yashoda in the form of complaints. Sometimes Kṛṣṇa would enter the house of a neighbor, and if he found no one there, he would release the calves before the time for the cows to be milked, which would mean the calves would go to the cows and the milk would all be gone by the time milking time came. The calves are actually supposed to be released when their mothers are milked, but Kṛṣṇa would release them before that time, and naturally the calves would drink all the milk from their mothers. When the cowherd men saw this, they would chase Kṛṣṇa and try to catch him, saying, "Here is Kṛṣṇa doing mischief." But he would flee and enter another house, and he would again devise some means to steal butter and curd. Then the cowherd men would again try to capture him, saying, "Here is the butter thief. Better capture him." And they would be angry. But Kṛṣṇa would simply smile, and they would forget everything. Sometimes in their presence he would begin eating the curd and butter. There was no need for Kṛṣṇa to eat butter, since his belly was always full, but he would try to eat it, or else he would break the pots and distribute the contents to the monkeys. In this way, Kṛṣṇa was always engaged in mischief-making. If in any house he could not find any butter or curd to steal, he would go into a room and agitate the small children sleeping there by pinching them. And when they cried, he would go away. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commentary reads, "Listen, Mother Yashoda, to your son's stealing activities. One day, thinking to steal the yogurt from some empty house, he went around looking for an empty house. before the milking time, he let the calves loose to drink the cow's milk. When everyone was running here and there to catch the loose calves, he entered the empty room, stole the yogurt, and fled away. Another day, when that yogurt thief came, we shouted, "Beat him! Tie him up!" But he just smiled sweetly. Smitten by his intoxicating smile, we watched him do his dirty work, not able to do anything. And while he ate the milk and yogurt, he just sat there eating, not even running away, while we stood there bewildered. Mother Yashoda says, in that case, why didn't you just let him eat until his belly was full? They replied, he is always being fed by you, so he has no hunger. It's not a question of hunger. He has a taste for stealing. He likes to steal the yogurt and milk. He does not like it if we give it to him. Being skillful at releasing the calves and at smiling, he steals in two ways, without our seeing and directly visible. Using his intelligence, he finds different ways to steal. Later, one day, even before eating himself, he distributed it to the monkeys. When all the monkeys had overeaten and none could eat any more, he thought, without you, what is the purpose in my eating? I will not eat. In distress, he broke the pots. Sometimes, when he enters an empty house and finding no yogurt, he becomes angry at the occupants. Stay there, and I will come tomorrow morning with a flaming coal in my hand. If you don't give some yogurt, I will burn your house down with the elders and children. Saying this, he makes the young children cry by scratching them with his nails. And we laughed. And they laughed. Jiva Goswami. They spoke in the following manner. 2.5 verses now describe Krishna's fickleness. This is only one of the 2.5. The first half of the verse may be taken as one statement and is explained separately for relishing the topic. The gopis speak of the first disturbance that Krishna causes. He releases the calves. The plural, vatsan, is used to express their agitation. Yasoda. But there is no fault on his part since he cares for the calves. But they reply, but he does this when it is not milking time. Mother Yashoda. The child has done this out of ignorance. Why worry? There are so many people in the house. Can't they prevent it? They cannot prevent it when they are busy with other household engagements. Then, why don't you frighten him? When we shout at him, he laughs. This describes his bewildering nature. Why does he release the calves? Laughing, they imitate his answer. I want to drink milk. This means he releases the cows to make people run here and there. Oh, you're unkind. Give him some milk before he does this. Slowly they say with smiling brows, he wants stolen milk, not milk which we have given him. If we give him milk, he will not drink it. But what is the loss there if he takes a little milk from your storehouse? He takes the tastiest milk set aside for our husbands. He drinks it all. It is not possible that an untaught boy can steal from you, for you are very clever. Answer. He has invented so many methods, unseen and unheard of previously by his intelligence. Mother Yashoda. This is the result of the piety of your father and grandfather, since he is enjoying what is not given by you misers. Why do you not accept this joyfully after it is done? Answer. He gives it to the monkeys. Let him eat it with his friends, but before he eats, he divides it up and gives it to the monkeys. And if even one monkey does not eat, since they have eaten fruits in the forest, he also does not eat it. He simply breaks the pot. He becomes angry when the gopis do not follow his order to give butter to the monkeys which have come to the door. Or sometimes, since he has already eaten, he will not eat the stolen goods, but still breaks the pot. He becomes angry when the gopis do not follow his order to give butter to the monkeys which have come to the door. We read that. If you know this, why do you not hide the pots? By not doing so, you're making my playful child agitated. The gopis use the word saha to indicate that Krishna is not present, even though they can see him in front of them, since he is now, like another person, very gentle in behavior. He becomes angry at all the people in the house. He makes the young children, Radha, Chandravali, and their younger brothers, cry, and then runs away. He becomes angry at people in the house. More. Sanatan Goswami. They speak to dispel the notion that they're being bold in speaking about his fickle childhood pastimes, or to create more attractiveness in relating his pastimes. At some time or in some place, he releases the calves. This word is understood with all the actions described. While engaged in doing other activities, they cannot catch him. He releases the calves, and they must again tie up the calves. While the women are busy, he leisurely enters their houses and eats the yogurt. He smiles when the babies cry. By making them cry, he announces his play to the other people. He is very naughty. After releasing the calves, he eats the butter with his friends. He devises new means of stealing butter. Not only does he eat the butter with his friends, but he makes the monkeys eat also. He makes newborn infants cry. Or he doesn't eat the butter, he gives it to the monkeys so that they will blame the monkeys. Now, there's another type of commentary. This is the Sandarbhas. Still in the same verse, same complaining, elder gopis complaining to Jasoda. This is Priti Sandarbha, the concluding Sandarbha in his writings. In his childhood pastime, the Supreme Lord abandons his gravity and calmness and becomes restless and mischievous. As was previously described in relation to bewilderment and other things, this is not a defect in the Lord. The Lord's childhood restlessness and mischief are described in these words in the Bhagavatam. It recites the whole verse, text 29. And then he refers to Canto 3, Chapter 3. This is Uddhava speaking to Vidura about Krishna's childhood, Krishna's Braja Lila. Canto 3, Chapter 3. The Supreme Personality of Godhead delights his devotees and the people of the world. This is described in these words of Srimad Bhagavatam, quote, he was there in his transcendental body, the residence of the goddess of fortune, with his usual gentle and sweetly smiling face, his nectarian words, and his flawless character. The Lord enjoyed his pastimes both in this world and in the higher planets, specifically in the association of the Yadu dynasty. At leisure hours offered by night, he enjoyed his friendship of conjugal love with the gopis. Uddhava speaking. Then here's Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Padmavati in Brihat Bhagavatamrita is the wife of Ugrasena, and Padmavati was violated and not the wife of Ugrasena, the brother of Ugrasena. Anyway, Padmavati was the mother of Kamsa. So Padmavati is speaking in defense of Krishna. She's kind of like a mad lady, Padmavati. They scolded him abusively because he was young. Krishna had no choice but to tolerate all this pain. But what does he have to do for all those people now? Commentary. Angry at Krishna stealing yogurt and buttermilk, Yashoda's neighbors would come to her and complain. And then this text, 29. So the whole thing, I won't read it again. Padmavati says that the abuse Krishna tolerated was heaped upon him because of Kala Gati, the movement of time. This can mean that because he was only a child, he was hardly aware of the impropriety of what the cowherds were doing to him. And in any case, it was a situation he was powerless to change. Or else, Kala Gati can mean he was thinking that as long as he had to stay incognito in Braja to hide from Kamsa, he would have to tolerate inconveniences. I don't remember if I was supposed to read this or not. I don't think I'm supposed to read this. Well, I'll just read the next verse and we won't go to the commentary because I think it's quite long. So text 30. When the milk and curd are kept high on a swing hanging from the ceiling, and Krishna and Balaram cannot reach it, they arrange to reach it by piling up various planks and turning upside down the mortar for grinding spices. Being quite aware of the contents of a pot, they pick holes in it. While the elderly gopis go about their household affairs, Krishna and Balaram sometimes go into a dark room, brightening the place with the valuable jewels and ornaments on their bodies, and taking advantage of this light by stealing. There's so many paintings on this childhood pastime of Krishna. I started narrating one story when we go on Brajmandal Parikram. One of the places that everybody likes to visit is Varsana. And to reach Varsana, there's different ways. You can go up this long hill and go to the temple of Radharani, and then go across because there's 5 mountain peaks. Or you can go the backside, and that's generally the way to go, and then you end up at Radharani's palace at the end, or the Rishabhanu's palace. So when you go up the back way, there's a gully. There's a cliff on this side and a cliff on that side. It's really slippery. It takes a really long time for the tourists to get through there. Sankati Kor it's called. Yeah. And there's a pastime on the other side. So the gopis would come every day because down at the bottom of the hill is the market for the milk products. So they would carry the milk products, and Krishna and the cowherd boys would sometimes stop them, and he had do his tax pastime. You can't pass here, you have to give some tax. You have to give me something from in your milk and yogurt and butter pots. And they would go, who are you? And he would, they would have their back and forth. And sometimes he would break the pots because they refused to give him any milk or butter or yogurt. So the following day, the gopis were hiding up on the hillside behind trees and rocks and everything. And when the cowherd boys came to do their stealing, they swooned down by the thousands and captured all the cowherd boys and tied their sikas to rocks. And were threatening them, if you do this ever again, you're in big trouble. And so Krishna wanted to retaliate. That's part of their pastimes. So he made an arrangement with cowherd boys to go steal from one of the storerooms. Shiksoli is on the other side of the Sankari Kor. Chitra, one of the principal 8 gopis, is just on the other side of the gully. So the ladies knew that he was going to do that, so they had a plan. When the cowherd boys would go inside, they'd lock the door and tell Mother Jashoda, we got him. So when they closed the door, Krishna is very clever, there was a window towards the top, and the cowherd boys all climbed out the window. Except for one, couldn't make it. Madhavangal, because you're a little chubby. So he was stuck with his head out the window and his belly in the window and his legs flailing inside the storeroom. The gopis came along and were whacking him. And he called out Krishna's name to help him. So Krishna, of course, responds. And what they did after they pulled him out of the window, they went over to, you follow along, and to a kund, and forget the name of the kund, but they tied his sika to a rope and were swinging him over the kund. And he was crying out, Krishna, Krishna. So Krishna came and chastised the gopis, saying that you've offended a brahmana. Look at him, he's crying, and you've humiliated him and hurt him, and you're in big trouble. You better appease him. So they came, hearing Krishna's words like this. They came before Madhavangal. How can we appease you? Bring a bunch of ladus. And he ate a bunch of ladus. And then he gave them some blessings. So that's a nice pastime. And by one of the sides of Varsana, or the hill. Nice place. These were regular childhood pastimes in exchanges with the gopis and Krishna and the elder gopis and Krishna and his cowherd boyfriends, because they were right in the thick of everything that he was up to. So celebrated is his stealing. Prabhupada discusses this. Stealing is bad. Anybody in any culture knows stealing is bad. You don't take the property of others. But when Krishna steals, it's good. In fact, he's given a name and celebrated as Makanchor because he steals. But his stealing is entirely a pastime, because what is there that doesn't belong to him? Say it positively. Everything already belongs to him. So he's stealing that which already belongs to him. But his devotee servants, they're, in the material world, we're stealing what belongs to Krishna, but not thinking it belongs to Krishna. And in Braja, they understand everything is for the pleasure of Krishna, and so they're very happy that Krishna steals, but then they also have this repartee, this back and forth with Krishna or Mother Yasoda or the elders. And while on the one hand they're complaining, the other hand they're filled with prema, and they want Yashoda to also share in the prema that they have for Krishna. So they're coming and sharing their prema. And she's this back and forth talk. She's saying what she's saying. How is this possible? Why are you being miser? Just give him. It's just, it's his happiness, not to be a thief, but his happiness to give them happiness by his naughtiness. Especially put this in context with the earlier pastimes. I mean, teaching him to talk and teaching him to walk. The way that's described is so nice. It's just like a mother and a small child, and how the mother delights those interactions with the child. A couple of steps and the child tumbles, and the mother picks up the child and hugs the child and pats the child, and again gets the child to take another couple of steps. And then the child goes a little bit away, turns around, and comes running towards the mother. I mean, it goes on in worldly life, but imagine being a pure devotee, being Nanda and Jasoda, and seeing all of that with Krishna. It's out of this world. It's the perfection of motherly affection, parental affection. And this is part of the parental affection that Krishna is engaging the young gopis, the elder gopis, in delightful pastimes. So we'll read the next text tomorrow, because I've been reading a lot, and I think it's nicer to have shorter classes, more discussion. See if there's any. You have some discussion? No? What's your favorite pastime of Krishna? Speaking Bhagavad Gita? The childhood pastimes? What's your favorite pastime? Lifting Govardhan Hill? Huh? Okay. Killing Kamsa? Killing Aristasura? Creating Radhakund and Shamakund? But I'm just... You're not sure yet. Next time when you read Krishna book with your mother, because I'm sure at some point you'll be doing that, you'll have your antenna up and you'll try to understand what is most attractive to me about Krishna. Okay? Maybe Govardhan Lila, Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill. You know about that one, right? Yes, you know. Mother Yasoda binding Krishna with rope and tying the rope around the grinding mortar. You know that pastime? Damodar? That's a nice lila too. In the morning, we're going to hear about Mother Yasoda looking inside Krishna's mouth and seeing the whole universe within Krishna's mouth. You know that one? What happens? No, he doesn't.
Then she falls down.
She falls down, yeah. Okay. You know that one. Okay. So, any discussion? Shorter class this evening. It's going to be a long one tomorrow morning.
Guru Maharaj, I don't have a question, but it's just a appreciation or comment. I think it was Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur who, in his commentary to this verse, he said that why Mother Yashoda is asking, like, why don't you then give him if he's hungry? And then the neighbors say that he doesn't take when we give; he likes to steal. So I was thinking that that is all along Krishna's attitude, even with us. He doesn't see what we give; what we are holding is what Krishna wants. So I was just thinking about it. That's how Krishna is.
Clever.
Guru Maharaj, can I ask a off-topic question? Baladev Vidyabhushan, when he went to Jaipur to discuss with the Ramanadis, Ramanuja Sampradaya, and so they were asking that Radha is, where does Radha is mentioned in the scriptures? So then, and also they were asking about like what Sampradaya you belong to, is there a Bhashya for the Vedanta Sutra? So then it is mentioned in his life history that, and also I have heard in Jagannath Puri, his about this pastime, that he, Govindaji instructs him the Bhashya of the Vedanta Sutra. So he writes that in very short time, I don't remember how many days, the Govinda Bhashya. And then he presents it to them with full proof of, the position of who Radha is and the worship of Radha, and then it is all established. But that is all we hear. Is there any, the commentary of the Govinda Bhashya with the proof how he defeated? The reason why I'm asking is, when I went to Chennai, I have been questioning the same thing. The same questions are there still, but I am not able to find the answers with proper proof.
Vedanta Sutra has three divisions: Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Sambandha, relationship. Abhideya, acting in relationship. Prayojana, the fruit of acting in relationship. So there's 4 parts to Vedanta Sutra. The first 2 deal with Sambandha. The next one deals with Abhideya. The fourth one deals with Prayojana. So in the Sambandha section, there's discussion about Shaktis. Now, impersonalists have their rendering, and Vaishnavas have their rendering, that Bhagavan has unlimited potencies. And one of those potencies is his internal potency. In that section, the internal potency is identified with the name Radha, and Radha has her expansions. So Radha is the internal potency, just as Lakshmi is the internal potency of Narayan. So that's the basis. It's in that section. And then specifically even that the gopis are expansions of her, and therefore Krishna's engaging in activities with the gopis are expansions, same as Narayan's engaging in activities with Lakshmi, his internal potency and her expansions. So that's where, that's it's in that context. Now, the Sanskrit Vedanta Sutra text and the commentary, what the commentary says about that text, I don't know, but that's the place and the context of his explanation.
Do we have any
Scholars that can answer that question, which of the texts?
no, Guru Maharaj. Do we have anybody in our ISKCON who has written in English the purports, explanation of the Govinda Bhashya?
Meaning the English translation of Govinda Bhashya, that's what you want to know?
With some explanation.
I don't know. With explanation. I don't know if there's an English translation, but let me see. One moment. My computer has lots of things that I don't even know it has. Apparently not. At least I don't have it. I can ask some scholars to see if there is such a reliable. Apparently, it's not an ISKCON translator, but there may be a reliable translation. Maybe, and I'll ask some scholars, and if there is, I'll let you know. You remind me.
In the same context, there is one more question that came up, Guru Maharaj, is there are 4 sampradayas mentioned in the Padma Purana. And so each sampradaya has written a commentary for the Vedanta Sutra. So then if our Gaudiya line has another commentary, is it a 5th sampradaya? Or can we also say we belong to the Brahma Sampradaya?
Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Brahma Sampradaya. But Madhva wrote his commentary. Madhva wrote his commentary. And Madhva's commentary is not identical with Baladev's commentary. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. That's where the question is like, how did the worship of Radha come from Madhavendra Puri is when it started?
Yes.
So that does that mean that the sampradaya changed the philosophy?
There are points of emphasis that changed, stemming from Madhavendra Puri, and the commentary that authorizes that is Baladev's commentary. Is that clear? But it's not only the worship of Radha, it's other points of emphasis, specifically say Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. And that's understand Sambandha, the relationship of all things with the source of emanation. What is that relationship? So Madhva has his perspective, and etc. They all have their perspective. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had his perspective, which is explained in Vedanta Sutras, commentary, Sri Govinda Bhashya, and other things. You know, the particular outlook on the role of varnashram and its place, because that's an essential part of the Vedic paradigm, and its place within the bhakti process. How to view work and the fruits of work.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. When we heard about Yashoda Mata, does she know Krishna is the Supreme Lord? If no, then why she tries to control several times, like binding the rope, that kind of things? Yeah.
The relationship between different ways in which the personality of Godhead is viewed, that it will go like this: from Vaikuntha to Ayodhya to Dwarka to Mathura to Vrindavan. And in each case, there's a increased degree of intimacy or sweetness or madhurya, to the point where Mother Jasoda is so much overwhelmed with madhurya that it eclipses his Aishwarya. Like your son said, when she saw inside Krishna's mouth universe, she fell down. She fainted. She went to go see a doctor. I think I'm seeing things. There's something. She just couldn't process it because of her motherly affection. Now, there's glimpses. We've going through some of those things, but there's glimpses where Krishna shows, but their prema, Vraja prema, is so strong, Yogamaya just completely covers them again. So your question specifically, does she recognize his divinity? No. Because her motherly affection is so strong, she can't see it. Even he shows it, she can't see it. She can't, it's like it doesn't enter because her love is so strong. In the morning, we're reading after Krishna rescued Nanda from Varuna's abode, Varuna, his assistant kidnapped Nanda Maharaj because he was breaking Ekadasi at the wrong time, bathing in the river Jamuna, etc., etc. So when Krishna brings Nanda Maharaj back, the cowherds are considering, who is this boy? And then Nanda has reached a conclusion. He's not just, like Gargamuni said, Narayan has invested powers in him. He's God. He's Narayan. And the commentary we're reading says that does not disturb their parental affection. Now that's not how they lived, because that window closed. They just got overwhelmed with their parental affection towards him. But there were times when he opened the window or opened the curtain and they could see. And they would just forget. That's how Yogamaya works. We discussed this yesterday, you were appreciating. Yogamaya has a reflected potency. The shadow of Yogamaya is Mahamaya. And Mahamaya has us covered. Even we may get some glimpses of some higher consciousness, and then very quickly we're just covered and we forget everything. So they get glimpses of Krishna's divinity, and then they get covered by Yogamaya and forget everything. That's innate. You forget. They forget that Krishna is God because of the predominance of their intimacy of love. Yeah, something else.
In context to that, Yogamaya, so when will a devotee comes out of all this Maya?
It's gradual. It's not at once. It's not an on and off switch. It's a dimmer switch. Gradual. And when is, it's on two things, letting go and accepting. Taking full shelter of the personality of Godhead, letting go of the false shelters. Letting go of the false shelter doesn't mean you throw things away. The residents of Braja, they don't throw things away. They have bullock carts and they have household paraphernalia, and they don't make this artificial renunciation thing, but everything has its service to Krishna purpose. That's how they live their life. So that the letting go is letting go of independent enjoyment position, and accepting is Krishna's shelter. So it's gradual. It's a cultivation. Okay. You want to speak something into that microphone, or you're just playing? Okay. Okay. Do we have any online question? No? Okay. Short evening class. Srila Prabhupada ki? Jai.